Hey, hello, I'm Kråkan, also known as Chorus Cornix, so welcome to Yacc, yet another Crowcast where I pick a game I played for a week and then I'll talk about it. This week's game is Castlevania for the Nintendo 64. It was released in 1999 and is a single-player action-adventure game developed by Konami Computers and Entertainment Kobe and published by Konami. And also there will be some spoilers up ahead, just so you know, but first a little backstory. So I found this game online on a retro site and I couldn't really justify the purchase. But a couple of days later I got paid, so all hinges were off. Before I talk about the game, I need to explain something. This game saves via a memory pack that is hooked up to the controller, and I looked online but I couldn't find one, so I couldn't make it very far this week because I couldn't save. So the plot of the game goes something like this. Dracula is resurrected at the end of the 1800s, and Carrie Fernandez and Reinhardt Schneider travels to Transylvania, Wallachia to stop him. At the start of the game you're prompted to insert a memory pack into your controller, and if you don't have one you can't save. And after that you get the Konami logo and Kobe logo, and a thundering cutscene plays with a castle in the background with a full red moon. Also in this cutscene there's a young man named Malius playing the violin, and then you're prompted to select between options and starting a new game. And if you start a new game you choose between easy and normal as difficulties, and then you get to pick between Reinhardt and Carrie. So I started the adventure by picking the vampire hunter Reinhardt, and a text scroll explains the plot, and this is a bit funny because this text is read out of the Necronomicon, which is the Book of the Dead. And it doesn't make any sense for the text to be there, but it is. So the adventure starts within a silent forest, and Reinhardt has two weapons, a trustworthy whip and a sword. And then there's some dialogue. He says, "Courage, don't leave me," as the lightning strikes two trees and making them burn. Just like any other Castlevania, you whip torches or items to reveal hidden goodies. So the first sub-weapon that you find in the game is the knife. And these are powered, or the sub-weapons are powered, I should say, by the red jewels. You can also have axes, holy water, and crosses. So it's basically like any other game of Castlevania. You have sub-weapons to empower the character. And soon enough, the dead start to rise out of the ground in form of skeletons. And I don't know about you, but it's not custom to bury people on the roads, right? It's a Castlevania game. I shouldn't be thinking too hard about it, but it's just weird. So I whipped open a sealed door, revealing a boss, which was a giant skeleton. This game also has a day and night cycle, and it's indicated by a clock on the screen. You can also change the day cycle manually by using the sun and moon cards. After doing some platforming and activating some levers, I opened up the pathway ahead. I also found beef, which is a health item. It recovers some health. I also found out that some enemies drop gold bags, which I thought just were for score, but it can actually be used later in the game. And after doing some platforming over an acid river, I fell in and I died. And I had to start over from the beginning because I didn't have a memory card, and it is kind of frustrating, I'm not gonna lie. The platforming in this game is terrible because it usually has some fixed camera angles and you can't really predict the trajectory arc of the character's jump. And after catching up to where I was, I managed to encounter the giant skeleton again. He appears a couple of times. And then there's a drawbridge that goes down once he is defeated, and Reinhardt finds himself trapped on the other side of that drawbridge in a place called the Wall. So I climbed up a couple of stairs with some traps and enemies, and I managed to get to the top, and there was this boss against two skeleton dragon bones. And then I got rewarded with some loot, and I think it was a switch at the top, and then I was supposed to go down, and I fell down and I died, so I gave up and tried Carrie instead. So Carrie's adventure starts within the silent forest as well, exactly in the same place as Reinhardt did, and I don't know why these characters aren't helping one another, but they aren't. So she is a magic user, and she uses magic and a staff as her weapons. She can also power up her magic ability to create a seeking energy ball. And I forgot to talk about this when I talked about Reinhardt and his whip, but he can upgrade his whip 3 times. The same thing goes for the seeking energy ball thingy. I think it goes without saying, but I couldn't make it far this week, either with Carrie or Reinhardt. And I was not going to leave the console on overnight just so that I could play the next day. Maybe if I get my hands on a controller pack, I could return to this game and maybe finish it one day. I also looked up a long play of this game on YouTube, and an interesting area that I saw was Dracula's Villa, which introduces Charlie Vince, this character carrying a cross on his back, and Revon, which is this devil character that you can trade gold for certain items in his shop. Reinhardt also encounters a vampire named Rosa. She's watering these roses with blood, and it's kind of an interesting character, and I think she's tied to the good ending of the game. So this game also has an infamous segment where you need to blow up a wall, and the ingredients or components are so explosive that you can't jump with the character because then the components explodes. And of course, the last boss of the game is Dracula, and if you manage to beat him within a time limit, there's a good thing that will happen. But I will talk about that in the Easter egg, secrets, and glitches section. So, gameplay. Carrie and Reinhardt is on a mission to stop Dracula and his evil plans. Control, the left stick is movement, the A button jumps, the B attack is attack 1, and here you have the C button. So C left is attack 2, C right is collect item, C up switches the camera angle, and C down is the sub-weapons. R1 does lock on, the C button crouches, and you can also run and press the C button to do a slide, and the start button brings up the menu. Graphics. This is the first Castlevania to fully embrace 3D graphics, and it shows. Low polygon counts and the resolution of the textures is very low. And it's not terrible, but it hasn't aged well. Sound and music. Masahiko Ibisu, Motoaki Furukawa, and Mariko Egawa made the soundtrack for this game, and a couple of tracks stand out to me. Settings, Rose, and Renan are a couple of my favorites, and they're all orchestra-based, or at least they're simulated by the N64 sound font. It's not terrible, and it has its charm, let's just say that. Easter egg, secrets, and glitches. I watched a speedrun by Narcia. The game was beaten within 34 minutes and 19 seconds. There was a lot of jumping involved and a couple of out-of-bounds skips. So this game has a good and a bad ending, and you get the good ending with both of the characters by beating the game within a time limit. But the funny ending is Carrie's one. She's sitting on the back of this sort of wagon, and the main bad guy called Malice, this kid from the beginning of the game, and Carrie doesn't know this, but Malice is basically the personification, the evil form of Dracula. And Malice asks Carrie if they can marry when they get older, and she's obviously reluctant, but she agrees to marry him. So this is truly the terrible ending, but it's kind of funny in a way. She has no idea what's going on, and things are about to get way, way worse. So in conclusion, I wrote, maybe if you're curious, so this game is a bit rough on the edges. The camera and control is something that I definitely struggled with this week. I don't mind the graphics. They haven't aged like fine wine or anything, but they're not terrible either. However, I would recommend Castlevania Legacy of Darkness instead. It's basically the follow-up to this game. And I remember playing it back in the day when emulators were kind of new, experimenting with save states, and I had a lot of fun just messing around with the game, and that's a better experience. Go play Castlevania Legacy of Darkness instead. So anyway, thank you for listening and or watching, and take care.